My name's Johnny Coleman. I am a sculptor, storyteller. I work with site specificity, and I see my process as being one of listening. In 1853, in Mason County, Kentucky, a little boy was conceived and born. His name was Lee Howard Dobbins. He was on a Dobbins family farm not far from Maysville, Kentucky. His mother, the woman who conceived and bore him, was really ill, and she approached a woman who was enslaved on that same family farm with her and asked her, would you please adopt my child, Lee, and raise him as your own? And if you run, please take him with you. The woman eventually died, and the woman that she spoke to did adopt him. When the woman that we know only as Miriam, the adopted mother, when she found that her daughters were next to be sold after her husband had been sold upriver, she gathered her daughters together before anybody else was sold, and they stole themselves away. They made it across the river. Mason County runs alongside the Kentucky side of the Ohio River. They made it across. They made it all the way up to Oberlin, but this is 1853, and it was necessary to continue on to Canada. The Fugitive Slave Act was in 1850. The little boy became ill in the journey, and it became necessary to leave him in the care of a family in Oberlin. Oberlin is 15 miles from the lake. The women continued on and made it safely across the lake. The little boy, however, died 9 days later. He's interred here in Oberlin, and for the last 20 years, I've been researching the story of Lee Howard Dobbins, trying to identify the names of the women, trying to identify the specific farm that he was born on. And I've always wanted to be able to find the route that the women took. Ultimately, I would like to identify each of the women, name them, thank them on the precise location in which they found refuge in Canada. Well, in the presence of light, I am working to create an immersive environment that engages not only sound that, rather than coming from one fixed location, surrounds you. So there's sound coming from the 8 birdhouses. There's sound inside the space coming from the walls. And then outside there is the sound of a blackbird just at the doorway. But in addition to the sound, there is also the smell of the leaves that surround the structure. There is the smell of the beeswax on the birdhouse. There is the light in the window. So I'm trying to actually work with an immersive kind of quality or experience that engages not just sound, and it's multi-channel sound, again, coming from multiple locations in the space, but also deal with light, deal with material, deal with texture, color, as well as smell. And smell is that primal, ancient thing that is the oldest part of the brain that we can identify thus far. So it's very, very highly associative. It can take somebody very quickly to a memory, a really strong memory, or a place or an experience by smell alone. The form that I imagined composing the structure from is a shotgun structure. And shotgun is a vernacular architectural form that is found all over the Afro-Atlantic diaspora. It emerged first with the individuals enslaved who were brought here in chains, and it was carried in their memories. Historians identified it as having first landed in Haiti, and from Haiti it came to New Orleans. From New Orleans it came north. The materials that I wanted to compose the structure out of were both recovered wood, primarily hickory and oak, recovered from this landscape, and poplar that, though not recovered, it's a native wood to this area that grows like weed. It's plentiful and very much part of this particular landscape. Site specificity is really important to me. Taking the video component first, I spent a number of days in and around Manchester, Ohio, along the lake, speaking to people, asking where I might find a kind of a hidden body of water where I'd be able to float 8 lanterns, one for each of the 8 women, and film at night. Speaking with people over a matter of days, I was able to find a possible place, and I drove out, and it's on 52 East, probably about 40 minutes upriver from Ripley, Ohio, which itself is about an hour upriver from Cincinnati. I drove off of 52 East into the woods, honestly, on a dirt road, and bounced back for about 4 miles on a dirt road that I could have walked quicker than I could drive it, and came to a point where the creek, Long Lick Creek, passed close to that road or that path. Got out, and I was looking and thinking about how I might be able to float the lanterns over that water when I was approached by a woman who lived adjacent to the creek. And she let me know that I didn't need permission from the county seat, that she owned that property right there, and that she was happy to grant me the permission to shoot there. But she asked if I had a few minutes, and she'd like to show me another spot. So we walked down, further down that path, and she brought me to a pool at the face of a cliff and told me that her church out in Rome, probably, I don't know, a half hour away from there, they had most recently done their baptism in their pool, in that pool right there, but it wasn't on her property. She introduced me to the man who owned that property. He was very happy to give me access to it. And we filmed the lanterns above that pond. The sound component was recorded over a number of different iterations. The Blackbird was recorded in April of last year in a swamp adjacent to Lake Erie. And the blackbirds sing, it's mating season, so they sing, it was warm. And I probably recorded many, many more minutes than I needed, but it's a beautiful isolated spot that I found. The water, the lake, was recorded from in the middle of Lake Erie on an island some time back. The ambience of the sounds of there's geese, there are egrets, there is the sound of fish jumping in the water. That was recorded at a bird reserve in the wetlands along Lake Erie. The next iteration in this project will take place in the summer of 2021 at the Transformer Station in Cleveland. The Transformer Station is catty-corner from Station Hope, which was a Episcopal church in which fugitive persons were housed and hidden and then transported to the lake. The lake is 2 blocks from Station Hope. So the next iteration will be at a 19th century transformer station for Cleveland Museum of Art, 2 blocks from the lake, literally. In that iteration, the shotgun structure will be glowing, whereas in the last iteration, the walls were fabric. Folks could enter into the space, and the sonic element was immersive inside the structure. Moving forward, the building will not be accessible. It will be closed off, but the entire structure will be illuminated from within. The film will be 1 full wall of the gallery, and the sonic element will surround with 12 channels of sound will surround the structure. The bell from Station Hope, I've been given access to the steeple, and I'm going to go and record the bell, and that will be an added element, along with some variations in the mix of the women's voices. So that's the next iteration. The culmination, as I imagine it right now, is a long-term project that will happen 2 years down the line. And for that project, I am approaching 8 African-American Black women poets and 8 Afro-Canadian Black women poets, and asking them the same question that I asked the women born and raised here in Oberlin. If you could speak to these tenacious, courageous, fierce women who carried themselves from captivity to freedom, and at great risk to themselves carried a ill 4-year-old baby boy along with them, what would you say to them? And the culmination will be a film that takes place with the Canadian women, Canadian poets on one channel, the film at the creek, Long Lick, with the 8 lanterns in the center channel, and the African-American poets in the right channel. So a 3-channel video. And it's important to me that film, 3-channel video film, not be located in a fixed space. That film will be viewable only in a liminal space. So that culminating project, I imagine, as a kind of response to a question, and what of my grandmothers? And it'll be only available, downloadable from the internet.